Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva manusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim. O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Partha. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O goddess, showerer of the nectar like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters. O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. The 15th Adhyaya Purushottama Yoga, the Yoga of Supreme Self, and Sri Krishna is telling us about the onward journey of the spiritual aspirant, how the aspirant reaches the ultimate goal, the final destination, and the destination which is the eternal destination for all the jivas. Having cut down, having cut asunder, having just uprooted the tree of the sansara, how these jivas who have freed themselves from the cycle of birth and death, they proceed towards that final destination to be merged with the ultimate reality, to be merged with the Lord, to be merged with the Purushottama for that matter. And how this differentiation takes place between the Jivatman and the Paramatman. Jivatman has descended from the Paramatman, has come down, taken up this body, and because of those 5 senses and mind as the 6th sense, it has got entangled into this realm of Maya. It has got entangled into that net, that web created by the Maya, the great delusive power of the Prakriti. And then, because of the 3 gunas, gets into whole lot of activity, and birth after birth after birth after birth just keeps on migrating from one body to another, the transmigration for that matter. And Sri Krishna says, when the right time comes, when that knowledge dawns, when that ultimate enlightenment comes to that soul, that I am not of this body, I am not of these senses, I am not of this mind, I am of the great Lord, then the Jivatman just takes flight, giving up the body and the senses and the mind and everything, and just merges one with the Paramapurusha, the Paramatman. So Sri Krishna has said that although this is the case, Jivatman is no way different from me. Jivatman is Mama Eva Anshaha. That is very much part and all these beings that you see in the creation, whether a human being or the animal being or from the plant kingdom or from the movable or immovable creatures, everything Sri Krishna says they are all part and parcel of me. Mameva Amsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutah Sanatana. And this has been happening since time immemorial. It is the eternal truth that all these beings, they are my portions, my part and parcel. Manashashtanindriyani Prakrutisthani Karshiti. And all these Amsha of mine, all these parts and parcels of mine, under that ignorance, they get bound to the Prakriti, they get bound to this realm of Maya because of five senses and mind as the sixth sense. Manashashtanindriyani. The sixth sense is mind, and five senses we already have. With these five senses and the mind, all these beings, in fact, the parts and parcels, the fractions of the Lord, fractions of the ultimate reality, they get embedded, they get kind of strongly bound to this phenomenal world. The phenomenal world is not the true world for them, but they think everything is true here in this the lasting world. Only everlasting is the ultimate truth from which all these beings, they have descended. All these Jivatmans, they have descended. Now, that is what Sri Krishna told us in the 7th Shloka. And in 8th Shloka now that we are going to read today, Sri Krishna says how the Lord, how this Jivatman, after getting rid of the body, after getting rid of this phenomenal world for that matter, how the Lord takes that Jivatman forward at his own abode, at the supreme abode, at that Paramadham. Now Sri Krishna says here in this 8th shloka of the Purushottama Yoga, śarīraṃ yadavāpnoti yaccāpyutkrāmatīśvaraḥ gṛhītvaitāni saṃyāti vāyurgandhānivāśayāt. How this Jivatman, which is the fraction, which is a portion of the Lord himself, when leaves the body, when gives up the body, how this Jivatman, he proceeds further, the Jivatman proceeds further along with those senses and the sixth sense of mind. Now, Sri Krishna is telling here, śarīraṃ yadavāpnoti. When and yaccāpyutkrāmatīśvaraḥ. Ishvaraha, the Lord, the great Lord, the Paramapurusha. When śarīraṃ yadavāpnoti, avāpnoti is taking birth, obtains, obtains this body. When the Ishvara, when the great Lord decides to appear in a body, that sends that Jivatman, that portion of the Paramatman gets into that body, and yaccāpyutkrāmati. Utkramati is leaves. Bye-bye. Bye-bye to this body. Get rid of this body. What happens then? So here Shri Krishna is telling, when that Ishvara takes up the body, and when that, at the moment, even the Ishvara, the Jivatman, when takes up the body, the mind and the five senses, they come along with that. They are part and parcel again of the material body, not of the Jivatman, but they are there in the body. They are the portions of they are the combinations of the Pancha Mahabhuta, the five primordial principles of this creation. You know, this water, air, ether, fire, and these five basic principles. The bodies, physical bodies, are a combination of these basic principles of the earth: air, water, fire, earth, ether. And having constituted into the physical body, they take up, the Lord grants those five senses and the mind, and also other internal faculties then. They come alongside. But the main culprits here, main culprits of binding the Jivatman to this worldly life are the five senses and the mind. The other finer faculties, like the intellect, like the buddhi, they are actually, they are always cautioning. They are cautioning the mind, don't do this, but does mind listen to anything? Mind has its own sway over the things. And through those five senses, the mind ensures that the Jivatman remains trapped, that the Jivatman remains in that prison, in that cage. Even if the cage is gone, they don't leave the Jivatman. They make the Jivatman to enter another prison, another cell, another body. And the journey continues. So Sri Krishna is here telling what happens to those senses. When the Lord obtains the body, the senses come to him. And when the Lord leaves the body, when the Jivatman leaves this physical frame, then what happens? Then gṛhītvaitāni saṃyāti. Gṛhītvaitāni. Gṛhītva is taking all these things together. The journey moves on. The Jivatman moves on from one body to another. Even after giving up the body, yaccāpyutkrāmatīśvaraḥ. Ishvara having utkṛamanti, having given up the body, proceeds further with these the forces, the 6 senses for that matter, the 5 physical, the perceptive sense, 5 senses of perception, and the mind. The Lord, the Jivatman, takes these along with him. How does he take? Now that also Sri Krishna has explained here in this shloka. Vāyurgandhānivāśayāt. Just like the saints, they are carried by the wind. Just like the saints, the fragrances that are carried by the wind. The wind by itself, it does not have any fragrance. It doesn't have any scent of his own. You cannot smell anything of the pure wind as such, of the pure air as such. It is free from any taints, because it is again that one of those Pancha Mahabhutas. Unlike other elements, water you can see its properties. It is liquid. Although it is colorless, it will take up color, whichever color is added to the water. But by itself, water is colorless. It doesn't take any color. The fire also is kind of, it has its own attributes. Earth has its own attributes. But the wind as such, the air doesn't have any attribute of it. It takes the attributes of others that air comes into contact with. If we are going on the road and there is some drain on the road, and suddenly we start getting foul smell. That foul smell, air doesn't have that smell, but air carries that smell. Air by its own is absolutely pure, smellless, taintless, but it carries those taints. When we light incense stick, the full room is spread with a beautiful fragrance, that beautiful smell. It is so refreshing. We are pleased, we are at peace, we are in bliss just with that smell. The flowers. Now, air carries all those smells, the good and bad. Air doesn't say which, air doesn't bother for whether the smell is good or bad, but air carries that smell with it. And Sri Krishna gives that example, vāyurgandhānivāśayāt. Like the air, like the wind, carries the smell with it, carries the scent with it, carries that odor with it. Likewise, this Ishvara, after obtaining the body, getting acquainted with those 6 senses, the 5 perceptive and the mind, dwells in the body, plays with those senses, and when the Ishvara, when the Jivatman leaves the body, then what happens? Those senses, the perceptive senses, although there are no sense organs in that condition, because there is no physical body, but still those senses, those primary senses in their natural form, in their true form, and the mind, the Jivatman carries with it for the next birth, That is required. Without these, how can the Jivatman, experience this material life, this worldly life? Experiencing in terms of joys and sorrows, experiencing in terms of happiness and unhappiness, experiencing in terms of pleasure and pain. That cannot happen without these. So, this indweller also carries these senses after leaving the body, with it, just like the wind, just like the air carries smell with it. Otherwise, the Jivatman has got nothing to do with the senses. Jivatman is tentless for that matter, being a fraction, mama ansha. That is what Sri Krishna has told us. What is the Jivatma? Jivatma is part and parcel of mine. The Jivatman dwelling in each and every being in this creation is part and parcel of mine. It doesn't need any of those senses, but to have that experience of the worldly life. These Jivatman, when takes the body, also takes up the senses with it and starts perceiving the world and starts having that experience of the pairs of opposites. Although intention is only to have good times, but there is nothing as good times in this creation. Every good time is followed by bad time, and every bad time is again followed by good time, no doubt about it. So that is Sri Krishna's telling us, sharing with us this another secret, how this works. Although the Jivatman is very much part and parcel of the Paramatman, having come down, having been part of this creation, it has to take up a body, it has to enter a body. Without body, the Jivatman cannot experience anything. And when the Jivatman gets into a body, Jivatman gets all those senses to have the experience of the world, to perceive the world. What is the reality? What is this world like? What is this unreal reality, for that matter? In that position, everything that is happening in the world is real for the Jivatman, which in fact is absolutely unreal, which is a facade, which is just a dream. But still, to enjoy that dream, those five senses and mind is very much essential. And therefore, after living in a body, Jivatman again carries all those weapons, for that matter, carries all those perceptive senses and the mind. Like the wind carries the different saints. They may be good, they may be bad. So that is how the Jivatman, functions, getting into body and getting out of the body. And that association with the senses is constantly there till the time the Jivatman is liberated for the final destination. So that was 8th Shloka of the Purushottama Yoga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swamiji.